It's Victory Monday. Man, it feels good to say that again. NC State goes out west and earns themselves a West Coast dub.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Our Victory Monday sponsor is Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Happy Victory Monday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs, celebrating a 24-23 comeback victory here on Monday. NC State goes all the way out to Cal Berkeley and pulls off a 13-point comeback victory in the fourth quarter with a true freshman. Kenton, we're fired up. It was a great weekend to be a Wolfpack fan. Your Lions got the win on Sunday. Great weekend to be a football fan in general. Everything feels better when your teams win.
Absolutely everything feels better when my teams win, except probably the after effects of a bad bowl at Chipotle. But with that in mind, this is an absolute great win for the Wolfpack for a multitude of reasons, right? You and I talked about, hey, you're the freshman quarterback aspect that you talked about. You and I talked about CJ Bailey was going to have to grow up in this game. If we wanted a shot to win, we were going to have to see CJ Bailey not just be a guy that's like, hey, we'll win with him. He had to be special. And in this game, he was. He was. There are multiple throws where, and I'm not saying the receivers played poorly. Not saying that at all. That fumble against Noah Rogers was complete BS. That was an incomplete pass. But ACC officials will ACC official. That's part of the deal here. But there were moments where if our receivers go out and make a spectacular grab in some of these moments, it's like, hey, we're really cooking with grease here. But yet and still, what a phenomenal game from him. What a phenomenal game from that young man, showing up in a major way when the team needed him most. I'll tell you what, when I look at what happened in this game, I saw two things that are the main causes of what I believe are why NC State won this game. You look at number one, the freshman playing special ball. Number two, a team that never gave up.
Yeah.
Obviously, the secret third with the asterisk is Cal missing a kick that was very makeable. That's obviously the third. But those are two things that I saw that I don't normally see, or that we had not seen to this point in this team. We had not seen this team not give up and roll over against, Power 4 competition. Every single game that we played against Power 4 competition, at some point in time, I'd say, that's the moment. That's the moment where we just it gets away from us in a meaningful way, and that we're not seeing the effort that we're accustomed to seeing from NC State from NC State teams and NC State defenses in particular. This game, at no point in time did I ever see that. And that's why NC State wins this game.
For an offense that was mostly inept for the majority of three quarters, it was good enough in the fourth quarter to get it done. And yes, all the credit in the world goes to CJ Bailey. We've talked so much about him just getting a little bit better each and every week, putting forth a better performance than the week prior. He does it yet again. Goes all the way out to Cal, 25 of 36 for 306 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. Excellent effort from CJ Bailey. It's these type of performances that are so valuable for his development in the rest of this season and projecting into next season. So I would say that CJ Bailey was probably the player of the game for the NC State Wolfpack, but another guy that you could slide into that category, Hollywood Smothers. We've talked so much about Hollywood Smothers and his dynamic game-breaking ability. Finally gets to showcase it in a win here out at Cal. 7 rushes for 25 yards, but 6 catches for 87 yards and a touchdown, and he proved to have the game winner on that screen that he took to the house. That's your RB1. We've been saying it, but that is your RB1. He is one of the most electric athletes we have on this team, and the more often you get the ball into his hands, the better. Same story with Justin Jolie. 4 catches, 95 yards. He was your leading pass catcher again. It's every week with this guy. There's no coincidence behind that. So it's no surprise that when we finally made an effort to get the ball into the hands of our playmakers, that is when the offense went. It's not rocket science, folks. When you get the ball to the best players you have on your team, more often than not, good things are going to happen. And that is exactly what finally took place in the fourth quarter. So credit where credit is due there. And then real quickly, the defense, you talked about Davin Van already. That's a man possessed. That is your captain, your senior leader, and took over that game in crunch time. When it was winning time and there was money to be made, Davin Van showed up to collect. That's exactly what you have to have right now and for the rest of this season for NC State and their defense. So it was excellent. A lot of people are still kind of hemming and hawing, like, what is there to be excited about? Cal's not any good. A 13-point fourth quarter comeback with a true freshman on the road. That's hard to do, whether it's Cal or Boston College or Northwestern. Insert team name here. That just doesn't happen that often. And so it was spectacular to see CJ grow up even more before our eyes and take home this victory on the road.
You're flying across the country. You're flying across the country. Do y'all remember what the response was when Florida State lost to Georgia Tech in game 1? Oh, man, they might have been jet lagged. As if Georgia Tech did not also have to fly over there.
Right.
In this game, there legitimately was only one team that had to fly across the country. It's not easy. It's not easy. And last thing I'll say about this, you can hem and haw all you want. But to me, if you're looking at this game from beginning of the year expectations, I too would be hemming and hawing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that just means that you're a little, how do I put this nicely, delayed in understanding the difference in context and situations, because there's not a world in which I would be looking at this team as we understand them right now and saying, I expect the same team out of you that I expected out of this team coming into the year. We learned in many facets we were not the team that we believed we were in a lot of regards at multiple points in time this season. If you're hemming and hawing at this win, I would simply say, what's the expectation, right? Are you still expecting 10 wins in the ACC championship, Bert? Because I'm sorry to tell you, buddy, that's not happening.
No.
And if you're one of the people who has the inability to be adaptable and adjust, well, I'm sorry to you. I'm sorry to you. But there's sometimes that comes a time where that's just the reality, and that's what I'm seeing here. It's just the reality that you have to look at this team and say, I have to conceptualize the wins, the losses, the ups, the downs, the close games, the blowouts differently than I would have, thinking I have a former conference player of the year at quarterback. Well, now we got a true freshman. We have a linebacking core that while you have some questions, you have multiple guys who have started in their roles or played significant snaps in their roles. That is not true. There's not a single player in this linebacking core at this point in time who's played significant snaps in their role before this season. You're saying to yourself, well, we have an all-conference running back in Jordan Waters coming in, and he's going to be amazing. Did Jordan Waters make the trip over to Berkeley?
He did not.
He was sick. I'm not even going to say anything about the play or whether or not it's met expectations or not. So we saw at multiple points in this game, despite not having the things you believed that you would have in the beginning of the season, a team that just fought and didn't quit. And to me, more important than wins and losses, that is the standard to me. The standard is playing clean football, playing competitive. I'm going to fight. I'm going to scrap. I'm going to die about it type of football, which is what NC State did, and that's what allowed the 13-point comeback in the fourth.
And Kenton, something you had said earlier in the season is the expectations are resetting in real time. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. In just this week, when the goal is to go on the road and go 1-0, your performance was good. The 13-point fourth quarter comeback is good. You got the win. That is a good result. Because yes, big picture, no, this win really doesn't mean all that much. But when the expectations have already reset, you're looking at your younger freshman guys and seeing how they develop now and seeing how guys can develop chemistry now and in the future. That's the most important thing to take from this game. And so for the team to go on the road and not quit when it looked like the game was pretty much under wraps, you come back, you score 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, the defense stands up and finishes the job out. That is excellent. And again, wins are hard to come by. Doesn't matter who you're playing against. You have to celebrate every single one of them. So yes, it's Cal. Yes, they have a losing record. And yes, there wasn't expected much of Cal anyway. This is a good win for NC State. Going all the way out there, overcoming adversity, and still finding a way to win in the end. That is what matters. So that was a good effort, and this is a good win to be celebrating here on Monday. Coming up next, we're going to get into the offensive and defensive reviews, looking back at how they did against Kenton's Keys. This comes after a quick word from our sponsors. Our first Monday sponsor is ZBiotics. ZBiotics Pre Alcohol Probiotic Drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day the next morning. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make ZBiotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you will feel your best the next morning. Here's how to use it. Step 1, drink the pre-alcohol probiotic. For the best results, make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Step 2, drink responsibly. Pace yourself, hydrate, and then get a good night's sleep. Step 3, enjoy your next day. Wake up feeling refreshed and ready to take on whatever life throws at you. Head on over to zbiotics.com/lockedoncollege to learn more and get 15% off of your first order when you use Locked On College at checkout. That's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they will refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/lockedoncollege and use the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at checkout for 15% off. Middle portion of our Victory Monday episode. Now time to walk back and look at how NC State football did against Kenton's Keys from Friday's show. Our first three on offense. Number 1, we're asking for a CJ Bailey masterclass that was 300 plus total yards, 2 touchdowns, and no turnovers. So funny enough, CJ threw for 306 yards through the air. However, his rushing yards combined -7. So actually finished with 299 total yards, 2 touchdowns, and no turnover. We're going to give him this. He threw for 306 through the air. That was good enough for the win. We're going to go ahead and take that key where we can get one. So that's 1 for 1. Number 2, 12 plus total touches for Hollywood Smothers. Check. He had 13. And the last one on offense was to score points on 60% of all trips into plus territory. We actually went 4 of 6 in this category. That is 66%. Kenton, 3 of 3 on offense.
That is the first time, I believe, all season that we've gone 3 for 3 on offense. What a showing by our offense, even though there were some moments that were head scratching. It's okay. It's all right. You know, to expect this offense to go from what we saw to perfection, you have a delusional mind, okay? Your mind is not okay if you expected this offense. And by the way, the strength of this Cal team is their defense.
It is.
So let's be very clear about that. In particular, the secondary. And that's why I felt so emphatically, hey, CJ Bailey needs to be really good in this game, because I knew our running game was what they were going to game plan against and say, deep, hey, we can stop man for man. 1 for 1, we have the guys that will stop what they're doing. And also, I want to, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, just because there were no turnovers, also, I know some people will say just because there weren't any turnovers does not mean that there weren't any turnover-worthy plays. There were 2 all game that I vividly remember. There were 2 all game that I very vividly remember. There was a pass thrown against Wiles where it was him and a receiver competing for it, and he had a great break on it. It was very possibly an interception in that moment. That was one. And the other was the one that was batted down where a safety was coming down, and it looked like he was going to jump in front of it. And there was another one where the safety looked like he was going to jump in front of a hitch route run by KC in the slot. It was batted down by Cal, luckily enough for us, but that's about it. That's about it. So how many quarterbacks go through an entire game without 2 turnover-worthy plays? In order to play the position, you're going to have to put the ball in harm's way sometimes. And even beyond that, yes, those were 2 bad ones, because the one that got batted down definitely would have been a pick 6 if it wasn't. But the other one, I'll live with that. I'll live with that 1,000%. The game is the game. Things happen to where that should be a touchdown and it doesn't get caught, or that should be a wide open deep ball, but somebody misses a block. I'm all right, more than all right, actually. I'm very happy with CJ's performance.
And going back real quickly to this third key, scoring on 60% of drives into plus territory. When you look back at the Syracuse game last weekend, turning the ball over 3 times in plus territory, that was the story of this ball game. And then when you look at this Cal game, when NC State got into Cal territory, I think there's only twice where it actually did not result in points. There was a missed field goal, and then there was a punt. When we fumbled, it was in our own territory, and that was really it. Every other time we crossed the 50, we ended up scoring. So I can live with that. You didn't turn the ball over in plus territory. That's excellent. That's how you go and aggressively win a ball game. And people are going to probably hang on me saying aggressively. The offense was not that aggressive until it needed to be at the very end of the game, and that remains a point that needs to be fixed. But you didn't shoot yourself in the foot in this game, and ultimately that made the biggest of differences. And now switching gears over to the defense and special teams, key number 1 was to finish the game +2 in turnover margin. Did not accomplish that one. We were actually -1 because we fumbled twice. Cal only fumbled once, and there were no picks thrown in the game. So -1, did not get that one. The second key was to hold Fernando Mendoza to a QBR of 50 or less. He did accomplish that one. He finished with a QBR of 39.5. And I thought that was particularly interesting. He threw the ball 42 times. He completed 30 of his passes for 282 yards, never found the end zone. And credit to the defense, you bent, but you never broke. And the final defensive key was less than 10 missed tackles. Kenton actually went back and counted. He finished at 8. So we went 3 of 3 on offense, 2 of 3 on defense, 5 of 6 overall. Kenton, what are your thoughts?
I think that this was reflective of the game. I think this was a really well-played game by NC State at a lot of junctions. I think that there were some critical misses or some moments where things went critically wrong. And even those things were within the keys, right? The first touchdown of the game, that really long run. Grayson and I watched the film together. And there was a very bad missed tackle from a young man who was unblocked. And not ideal, to say the least.
That's underselling it. It was abhorrent. It was bad.
With that being said, the reality is simple. We come up with these keys based upon very simple parameters. Look at what our team needs. Look at what the opposite team does well. What does our team need to do to beat that opposing team? And that's how we formulated these. It was very simple. What do you need to do to beat Cal? If CJ Bailey didn't turn the ball over, they're not a huge fumble forcing team. They're not a team full of thumpers all over the place where you're like, hey, them guys coming to knock your head off. You're going to be elephant arming it by the end of, or not elephant, gator arming it by the end of the game. It's not that. They are a team, however, their defensive backs, they stick to you like white on rice. That's what they do. That's who they are. So ultimately, CJ Bailey taking care of the ball, vitally important. Defensively, not missing a lot of tackles was going to be important because at the end of the day, I don't think much of Cal's offensive schemes to where I'm like, oh, they're going to scheme guys open, just prevent the big play. But I do think with any college football team, it's not about them, it's about State, or with most college football teams right now. Let me not say any, because there are some teams, there are many a team where I'm like, hey, they play their best game, we got no shot. Yeah. But when I look at this Cal team, I said, if we just make tackles, if we just find ways to generate turnovers, if we just find ways to do what we need to do in terms of making Mendoza look like who he is, we'll be just fine, which we did.
I knew heading into this game, because I said it on Friday, if you could essentially copy-paste the effort from Syracuse but clean up the turnovers and you put that out against Cal, I thought that would be good enough to win. That's more or less exactly what happened. You didn't beat yourself with turnovers. You didn't allow broken plays outside of the very first one that Cal scored on, and you gave yourself a shot on both sides of the ball, and that proved to be enough. Despite not feeling very confident in our predictions going into this game, the game ended up turning out exactly how we thought that it might. And so credit to NC State. You did what you had to do to win this game. That's all we've been asking for in these last couple weeks. Just play NC State brand of football. Don't do too much. Don't beat yourself. And you are good enough. You are talented enough, more often than not, to beat the majority of the teams on the schedule. And that is also true for the last 4 games that remain on the schedule. You are more talented, I would say, than all 4 of those teams. But it will come down to NC State versus NC State. If you don't beat yourself, you have a great chance in all 4. But you're going to have to accomplish that in order for it to be true. So 5 of 6 of the keys, that was reflective of the end result. We are happy with both the win and being 5 of 6 for Kenton's keys. Coming up next, we're going to get into our big picture takeaways from this win on the road at Cal. This comes after a quick word from our sponsors. Our second Victory Monday sponsor is Gametime. Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks, and it makes getting tickets for your favorite live events easier than ever before. Gametime filters out all of the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, and you won't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. The curation of Gametime Picks makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, you name it, they got it. Toggling the all-in pricing feature on the app will show your total upfront, so you receive zero surprises at checkout. And as always, you get that panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect upon arrival. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime Picks. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, and again, create an account and use redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, Locked On College, for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? You already know. It's game time. Last couple minutes of our Victory Monday episode here. Time for our big picture takeaways from this 24-23 victory over the Cal Golden Bears. Kenton, I'll let you kick us off. What are you taking from this game?
The number one, we should make this an official rivalry, add in like a trophy of some sort, the whole pack of bears rivalry or something like that, and have the trophy be like a bear and a wolf, like on other sides of football or something like that. Who knows? Let's think about it. But in all seriousness, my biggest takeaway, CJ Bailey's grown up before us, and this team hasn't quit on the season. Those are my two biggest takeaways from this game. Because was it perfect? No. Was it, would I be lying if I said Cal did not do enough to win this game? No, I'd be lying. With that being said, this team still has not quit. And you could tell. The effort was there. Guys were giving everything that they had, despite having to do some shuffling around, despite having to have a different green dot guy, despite having multiple things getting your way that could be, we traveled, we're jet lagged, we're tired. But besides having all of these potential excuses, this team just showed up and they won a football game. Now, maybe this just means that we're less snake bitten than Cal. Maybe this is the start of something really good. I don't know. Only time will tell, but damn it, I'm going to enjoy this win.
Yeah, my big picture takeaway is actually exactly what it was last week. Every single game, I just want to see continued improvement from CJ, from Hollywood Smothers, from Justin Jolie, the whole offense, the defensive guys. I just want to see this team continue to get better. And piggybacking off of your point, it was so great to see them not quit. On the road, you're down 13 in the fourth quarter. A lot of teams in that situation would just kind of pack it up and start to plan a trip back home to the East Coast. NC State did not. And you finally saw the desperation to win a football game, the urgency to win a football game. And that has been a little bit absent these last couple weeks. Very refreshing to finally see that with the game on the line. So that was excellent to watch. And the same thing remains. Every game on the schedule from here on out is winnable. Every game from here on out on the schedule is also losable. And I heard a couple of the clippings post-game. I heard Hollywood Smothers say every game is critical. They're tired of losing. That's what you want to be hearing from the locker room at this point. They know that their goals are off of the table. They know that the season has been largely very disappointing. If anyone knows, the players know. But for them to not quit and to still go into every week and attack it and come out with a win like that, that means a lot to that locker room. And so I said this on Saturday in the postgame as well. Big picture, does the win mean that much? No. But in terms of keeping a team together in the camaraderie and growing together, learning together, and becoming a better football team for the rest of the season, a win like that truly does mean a lot. And I also think that the bye week comes at the perfect time. You get to really assess everything that's gone on in the first 8 weeks, and then you get to completely empty the tank for the last 4. You can go 4-0, you can go 0-4, but that will be up to the NC State Wolfpack. If they want to replicate what they did last year and finish on a 5-0 run, it's there for the taking. If they want it, they can do it. And I think it was Smothers that also talked about that. They said that that is now their goal. They saw what they did last year. They want to be able to do it again. The only thing that is in their way is themselves. They can go 5-0 to finish the season. I don't know if I'm necessarily predicting that at this point because there's still a lot of work to do. But if they want it, they can get it. Stanford, beatable. Duke, beatable. Georgia Tech, beatable. Dirty Foot Club, who isn't beating those guys? Okay? They can do it. but it is up to them to continue to get better, grow together as a team. That is the most important thing from this 24-23 win. That'll do it for us here on Monday, a Victory Monday. Feels so good to say that again. Be sure to hit that like button, drop your comments in the comment box. Tell us what you thought about NC State's fourth quarter comeback on the road to take down the Cal Bears. Tell us what you thought about CJ's performance, about Hollywood's performance, Davin Van's performance, anyone else that stuck out to you. Drop them in the comment box and give us all of your thoughts from this wonderful comeback victory. Anything else on your mind, drop that in the box as well. Our bye week schedule is going to look a little bit different. Still have a lot more to talk about football-wise before we get into anything else. We're going to cherish this victory until it's time to let it go here in the midpoint of the week. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you have not already. We'll see you right back here tomorrow on Tuesday for more. And until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.